All right, all right, all right. What's up, folks? What's up? What's up? Let's get into this topic of conversation. The biggest threat, the only threat to mankind, to America, and F what Donald Trump and the rest of the punks in his regime and the whores of his regime and the whores and bitch made dudes of his family got to say about anything as it relates to America and the rest of the goddamn world, because these people ain't shit. What's up, my brother Megazar? Salute to y'all. Salute to everybody out there. And F all these fools, man. And what they speak about is these threats that, they place everybody else of every other nation, nationality, being a threat, certain, technological advancements they make in their nations as being threats, and we got to protect ourselves from this and all that other shit, as if it's the aliens landing on planet Earth. And the first reaction is to have to bomb and kill shit, is, the thoughts of these damn wicked ass people who are wicked upon themselves. And it's just, once again, I remember the word, it's just the projection of what these people are really spewing out, because they are the true threats. But let me play these two little short clips, and then I want to go into defining what is Zionism and going into some of the history that is on this. So let's go ahead and get into
If I were to ask you, are you a Zionist, what would you say?
Absolutely not. A Jew, you can't be both. You can either be a Jew or a Zionist.
What are you? Were you consider yourself a Jew or a Zionist?
Jew.
So you're not a Zionist?
No.
You're not a Zionist at all?
No.
So according to you as a practicing Orthodox Jew, what is Zionism? What is it for the world to see?
Zionism is for people who wanted to change the Judaism, and they transformed it into something different that's totally isn't. They transformed it into a nationality, like there's a German nationality, like there's a French nationality.
Gotcha. They turned it into nationality.
Yeah, and most of them were not even religious or observing Jews.
Gotcha.
So it has nothing to do with the.
So as a practicing Jew yourself too, occupying that land is something that's completely wrong.
Especially if they are infringing on different people who were living there until they came. They have no right to infringe on these people's rights.
You are traitor. You are traitor. Go to Gaza, go! They want you in Gaza. Why you don't go to Gaza? Why you don't go to Gaza? Why you don't go? Why you don't go to Gaza? We are the best people in the world. You are not people. You are Amalek. You are Amalek.
The world is outraged against what you're doing.
Why you don't go to Gaza? Why you don't go to Gaza? Go to Gaza. Go to Gaza.
I did.
And
I did.
Go. We don't want you. You're not part of our people. You're not part of our people. You are not part of our people. You are not part of the Jewish people.
You are not representing.
Go to
you are
Gaza.
not Jewish.
Go to Gaza.
You are not Jewish. Judaism is not about a race. Judaism is a religion.
Go to Gaza. Go to Gaza.
Don't you support the killing of everyone?
We support living. We support life. You are not. You are Amalek. You are Amalek.
Everyone is suffering.
Amalek.
Everyone is suffering. Palestinians, Lebanese, Jews. Everybody is suffering because of your wicked state of Israel.
All right, so there we hear that, and not sure if that's the sentiments of all people of Jewish faith, but let's go into it. Let me say what's up. I see Mark Sumner is right. Reggie learned a new word, says that now it's the biggest threat to America. Well, not even just the word. I just always knew people with this type of mindset, those who are at top, those who have a shared type of ideology, same type of function and manipulation of global economies and just society as a whole without having to know it. And it's funny when you look at language and the way in which things are kind of a hotbed topics, language and shit that is used. I never remember hearing the use of word like Zionism and shit like that. Never really even heard of Jews, to be honest. And especially growing up in the all black community, we didn't really hear about Jews, especially I'm a West Coast black. So I didn't hear about this shit. So certain things, and as the world becomes more absorbed with one another, the more we begin to learn about each other, especially through the use of the internet and shit. So you begin to kind of get intertwined, like they say, with the world being flat, like as far as what the internet creates, not the little retardation theory about flat earth bullshit. but about how the earth is flat as it relates to how close humans have come together and shit. And so now you begin to hear more and more language and more shit revealed about hidden groups and shit like that. So I've always knew and just wanted to figure things out. I think there's always this thing of discovery and shit. So this is me educating Mark Summers and his dumbness and what he writes and shit. But it also, I'm glad that you wrote it. And so, like I say, I never heard of Zionism, Zionists, really didn't hear about Jews even going back 35 years ago. And I'm just picking up to where, because I'm older than that. I'm in my mid 40s. But I'm gonna go to where about the time where I'm picking up and listening into what people around my community speak on. So I wasn't hearing Zionism. We weren't hearing about Jews. We didn't live around Jews. We spoke about white folks. And many white folks who have this type of ideology, when you start to define Zionism and shit. The British were no different than that shit. The Italians were no different than that shit. All these type of people. So by what, in the last, even in my military days, the end of the 90s, going into 2000s, I still didn't hear about Zionists and shit. Even being in, the only time I start hearing about Jews is when I was in Evanston, because there's so many Holocaust survivors out there and so many people of Jewish faith. So you hear about them, but never was hearing about this shit. It hasn't been until probably the last 15, 20, I mean, not 20 years, but maybe last 10 years. This has started to come up. You start hearing about this expansion of this ideology and all this belief and shit. So then it makes you like tap in. Even when I start hearing people use this language and speaking about the Zionists, and every time you go into asking them to explain this shit, a lot of people really don't open up to it. So I really want to dive in on this shit, and especially as much as I go into this Trump administration, I view Trump in them as these type of people. So that's that. And so it ain't a thing about learning a new word. I still don't fully know what the belief is. So that's why I want to read on it and do it in the form of a live stream. Lyson Clea says, Dan Red says, I hope you have a backup channel. Says, ready, laugh out loud. Man, I am not worried about these people. This is the other thing that bugs me when people worry about losing some shit, or these people don't come at the shit. They ain't got that kind of power. I'm not violating the policy by talking about piece of shit ass people. Not making threats towards them, just speaking about what is real. But do they try to censor shit? Yeah, they do. But that just shows how un-American motherfuckers are who are at the top, because this is a nation about freedom of speech. This is a nation that is freedom of religion. This is a nation that's supposed to have a separation of faith. And that's what is wicked when you hear the dumbass like Donald Trump talking about this is a Christian nation. No, it ain't. You paid attention to the motherfucking formulation of this damn country. It's been a country that is free of religion and shit, to get away from the failed past of the European nations. So the Europeans coming over here trying to deject themselves from a lot of the wicked shit that occurred over in Europe, and then keeping pieces of it, which is the wickedness and terroristic shit, oppressive conquest type shit. Mark Summers says all you talked about was guns and crime. Says where you were from, that's why. No, that ain't what I talk about. And I don't just talk about violence and shit where I'm come from. I speak about the history of it and people who look like you who ran away from it, and about how the government began to change things, change the dynamics within these communities. These communities were at one point all white communities. These were communities where when you go back, so let's go back into that, Mark Summers, and then I'm gonna go back into my topic about this environment. We can talk about South Central, but this goes for all of America. When you look at South Central, back in it don't matter whenever they start developing that shit. Right before the late 50s and shit, when blacks started to arrive. And even when blacks did arrive in there, you didn't deal with the dynamics that affected. You didn't deal with these dynamics until you get a bitch-made president, wicked ass administrations, and the federal side of shit, and as well as the state side, and as well as the local side of shit. They didn't deal with drugs. They didn't deal with a high number of violence. Violence is probably limited to maybe domestic situations, mano a mano shit, two dudes feuding and shit and things like that. But you didn't deal with the escalation in drug addictions. Alcoholism wasn't as overboard. What else was it? Homelessness wasn't a major factor in there, even though it existed. As soon as the dynamics in this country began to change, as blacks began to find themselves climbing that damn economic ladder because of their ability to work and outcompete when given a fair chance and a fair shake at shit, black people begin to find themselves in home ownership, owning vehicles, and able to dress their children in fine clothing and do fine dining and shit like that. Then you get a wicked ass regime who comes along with a master plan of uprooting all this shit. And then all of a sudden, these same communities that when whites pushed out of it, blacks moved into it. There wasn't a gang violence, there wasn't a drug use, there wasn't alcoholism, and there wasn't a killings. And the high level of homelessness, unemployment, because there are jobs fucking galore. Now all of a sudden, when the dynamics begin to change, these people who can push shit through the fucking mighty, powerful fucking pen begins to make executive decisions to uproot that shit. Let's close this building down. Let's shake this sector of the goddamn economy, have these plants closed, force these people to be the first ones affected, making them unemployed and shit, create dynamics where they can't provide for these kids. And now the kids turn to the street and into the underworld of shit. And now you create a dynamic where you fuck them over. Simple as that. White politics, male ran. Simple as that. But a white dude like you who is either new to this country, family acts, blind as shit because they part of that wicked shit, you would never be told that shit. So I thank you for coming over here. And then Velocity says, boycott has entered the chat. Now, boycott always hit the chat once the videos upload because you'll see her write in the chat or have comments. Mike Laurie says, how do you think the fighting will play out? Says over the next couple of months. Says airstrikes and special force operation. No, absolutely not. Trump and him ain't about to do shit but embarrass himself. Even that shit he talking about doing tomorrow, blocking the straits, ain't gonna do nothing but skyrocket the motherfucking price of oil. You better go get your gas tonight, just so you have a full tank before it reaches these high ass levels. And as well as the stock market, 401ks about to be fucked over. They've been stagnant and dipping and tripping like a mug since this idiot been back in there. Lyson Clear says Rebel Rousers win South Central says back in the 50s. Them and probably other little gangs. People have always organized in gangs. You have white gangs in the midst of all that shit. So as much as they speak about, because everything that associates with the way in which people like to talk in this modern age of speaking about the degeneracy of black folks is the only, even going back in the 50s, is to talk about black gangs. People fail to talk about the little white gangs that targeted people. Because white people try to have a stronghold on blacks not coming in the community. If blacks want to travel the community to go to maybe some event, to go shop somewhere, or they having little arcade areas and shit, and white people formulate their gangs and want to target black folks. And then that shit immediately changed and they start getting their asses whooped. So people don't highlight that. So let's go into the Zionism shit. Let's talk about this wicked shit, biggest threat to the world. So Zionism is an ethno-cultural nationalist movement that emerged in the late 1900s. In the late 19th century of Europe. Oh yes, almighty Europe, where a lot of the people of the Jewish faith lived. They had been living in Europe, German area and all that shit for the last 1,000 years. Says in the late 19th century, Europe says to establish and support a Jewish homeland through colonization in the region of Palestine, which roughly corresponds to the land of Israel and Judaism. Itself central to Jewish history, Zionists wanted to create a Jewish state in Palestine with as much land, as many Jews, and few Palestinian Arabs as possible. Ain't that some wicked shit? And America goes along and pushing that. And I'm going to get into the Balfour Declaration as well. Zionism initially emerged in Central and Eastern Europe, says as a secular nationalist movement in the late 19th century. In reaction to new waves of anti-Semitism and in response to the What is that? I don't even know how to pronounce that shit. Haskalah. I think I'm saying it right. I don't know what it is. The Haskalah is often termed the Jewish Enlightenment, says was an intellectual movement among the Jews of Central and Eastern Europe, says with a certain influence on those in Western Europe and the Muslim world. It arose as a defined ideological worldview during the 1770s. All right. So in response to the Holocaust, says all the Jewish Enlightenment says, oh, I didn't even have to read the definition. They give a little short to it. Says by the beginning of the 20th century, the Zionist movement, now led by Theodor Herzl. So this fool right here says he's a Hungarian. Then today some shit happened in Hungary. So this is probably one of the reasons why Hungary is at the top of the list on shit. I guess it's the home of the Zionist movement and shit is why they pay so much close attention to the Hungarian election that occurred today and the person who was so pro-Trump losing that shit. So Theodore was a Hungarian Jewish journalist and lawyer, says, who was the father of modern political Zionism. Herzl formed the Zionist organization and promoted Jewish immigration to Palestine, which in the late 19th century was part of the Ottoman Empire, says, in an effort to form a Jewish state. So the Ottoman Empire is modern day Turkey. Ottoman Empire is also the location that will set off World War I and shit. And the fall of the Ottoman Empire following the defeat in that war. So let me see. The Ottoman Empire, in an effort to form a Jewish state, says due to his Zionist work, he is known in Hebrew as Chosin Hamadana. I don't know how you said it, or the visionary of the state. He is specifically mentioned in Israeli Declaration of Independence and is officially referred to as the spiritual father of the Jewish state. So it's perfect time that I do this shit when we speak about an election that occurs over there in Hungary. Perfect timing, right? Or was it deliberate? All right, let's continue on. All right, says Theodore, says associated with the national revival, so the revival of Palestine, then under Ottoman rule. Says the arrival of Zionist settlers to Palestine during this period is widely seen as the start of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Zionist claim to Palestine was based on the notion that the Jews' historical right to the land outweighed that of the Arabs. That within itself is some wicked shit, and it just shows how wicked the United States is as well as participants in this. I'm going to read this paragraph here and then go into this declaration here. In 1917, the Balfour Declaration established British support for the movement, which Britain is no different. British established Zionist shit here in America. So, of course, they'll support that shit. Britain has supported Zionist shit in India, Zionist shit throughout Africa, Zionist shit in fucking Australia, Zionist shit in China, Zionist shubby. Come on, homie. So of course they will support this kind of shit. Removal of anybody without anybody who is, let me see, how am I trying to say this shit? Anybody who does not share the blood of Europeans, they support the removal of them and them having a right to these people's land. And that is some of the most wickedest shit, and why you cannot count on these people to kind of be ethical type people, because they share these type of thoughts. These thoughts are learned throughout their religion. I'm pretty sure all throughout this shit, it's going to have the associations with religion all through that shit, because their leaders within their faith teach and preach this shit. That's why I don't rock with this religious shit. If I was to rock with any religion, it'll be of the nation. That's about it. The Nation of Islam is probably the most righteous religion. If I was to rock with something, I'll rock with. But I'm not religious. So let me go into this. So in 1917, the Balfour Declaration established Britain's support for the movement. In 1922, says the mandate for Palestine, governed by Britain, explicitly privileged Jewish settlers over the local population. In 1948, at the end of the British mandate, the state of Israel declared its independence and war broke out. During the war, Israel expanded its territory to control over 70% of the former mandated Palestine. As a result of the 1948 Palestinian expulsion and flight, An estimated 160,000, 870,000 Palestinians in the territory remain, forming a Palestinian minority in Israel. That is some wicked shit. That shit is some wicked shit right there. And it's what we deal with presently. So let me go into the Balfour Act. Let me see. Let me not move too far. So the Balfour Declaration, I'll keep calling it the act. The Balfour Declaration was a public statement issued by the British government in 1917 during the First World War, announcing its support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, then an Ottoman region with a small minority Jewish population. The declaration was contained, and this is the thing that saved them from having to kill people who look like them. It's to create the state. Let's save these white folks. These are oppressed white people, but it ain't even that, because they're mixed in them with people who want to fucking terrorize and kill off these people and probably put together a 100-year, 200-year plan to fucking have control of this whole region and shit. It's like I stated, these people should have been kept over in Europe. The only anti-Semitic people in the world are fucking Europeans. As simple as that. So here it is. Like I stated, in my lifetime, I never knew who the fucking Jew was. Didn't know about none of this shit. Wasn't until I moved to Illinois, where a bunch of them were. Let me see. Let's go on. Even in California, we have them. We don't see them out there like that. They in areas where we don't exist. Like, so let me go where I leave off at. So this is all wicked shit. Like, even reading this shit and come across it just shows how wicked this history and what we're faced with, and then why it is important for Iran to be victorious in what is occurring today. It is very important for Iran to be victorious in what is occurring today. Salute to Canada for the actions that they have taken today against the United States, to not be a part of their wicked past and the mistakes they made and what occurred. What is that? Well over 100 and something years of fucking go. So let's continue on. So says the First World War, says the national home for Jewish people in Palestine, says then the Ottoman region, says with a small Jewish population. The declaration was contained in a letter dated the 2nd of November, 1917 by Arthur Balfour, says the British Foreign Secretary to Lord Rothschild. Let's go into who is Lord Rothschild. Who the fuck and why is his family so motherfucking powerful and wealthy? So Lord Rothschild, this nigga's a Lord. No, he's not. This is where they teach you shit in this religion shit. The Lord ain't the Lord God. So in their religion, are they really teach you to worship these type of motherfuckers? So the British Foreign Secretary to Lord Rothschild is a leader of the British Jewish community for transmission to the Zionist Federation of Great Britain and Ireland. The text of the declaration was published in the press on the 9th of November, 1917. Lord Rothschild, let's see this wicked, ugly, big, square box, moon, earth head motherfucker. So he's a British banker, politician, zoologist, and soldier, says, who was a member of the Rothschild family, says, as a Zionist leader, he was presented with the Balfour Declaration, which led British support for a Jewish national home in Palestine. Rothschild was the president of the board of deputies of British Jews from 1925 to 1926. So this is who this Rothschild motherfucker at. He ain't got no hat on his head, none of that shit. He I think he is an infiltrator of this faith. So Walter Rothschild, born in London, says is the eldest son and heir of Emma Louise von Rothschild, says, and Nathan Rothschild, says, first Baron. This is what Trump named his little stupid ass son, this shit. Baron. This is what Baron Trump. Baron, the part of this Rothschild shit. That old ugly scumbag, lanky, tall bitch. All right, so let me go back in this shit. There's so much learned from this fucking history just to read through this shit. Every now and then I like to just dive in this shit. The Rothschild is a wealthy Ashkenazi. These niggas is the Nazis. This is where that Nazi shit come from. Ashkenazi Jews, says forms of distinct ethnicity of the Jewish diaspora is emerging from the Jewish communities that consolidated during the 10th century in the Rhinelands and the says in the Rhineland, which you hear about the Rhineland when you go into World War II history, when Hitler wanted to go back and conquer certain areas that were taken from Germany, and he wanted to conquer the Rhineland. So this is probably what this shit. These motherfuckers, Jews, they got themselves. Maybe this is Jewish beef. That's what Hitler's movement was about. The Rhineland says in the northern France, says having migrated there from centers such as Italian Peninsula and southern. I'm not gonna go into it, but he's an Ashkenazi. I would never get over this last four letters in there. Nazi. Jewish banking family, says originally from Frankfurt, Germany, with Hitler, German, Mark Furman, says the family's documented history starts in the 16th century, Frankfurt. Its name is derived from the family, says from the family house, Rothschild, built by Isaac Elchenin, Bachenrock. I mean, fuck these names, man. I can't get with these European names. I don't know them. Says in Frankfurt in 1567. So this family kept their history. Somebody should have kicked their motherfucking ass, but except when everybody's fighting with their hands, these are weak bastards developing swords and shit and metal protection. So niggas like, oh fuck, god damn it, these niggas gotta jump on us. And that shit allowed this piece of shit ass family to get a goddamn stronghold on the rest of the damn world. So the family rose to prominence, says with Meyer Amschel Rothschild. Let's see who this fool is. This fool looks like motherfucking somebody out one of them damn Game of Thrones movies and shit. Says he was born in 1744. He died in 1822. So this shit ain't long ago. This shit ain't really that long ago. He says you struggle. So you struggle with the reading, OG. No, Mark Summers, I can't read your family's names. I don't know that European shit. I'm a true ass American, and true American will look like me. Says a court factor to the German, says to the German landgraves of the Hassel-Kassel. I don't know these European ass names. Says in the free city of Frankfurt, Holy Roman Empire, says established his banking business in the 1760s. So the banking business, that's something I want to dive into, the history of banking. To what allows a family to be this damn powerful for this long, and the understanding of banking. So true American doesn't look like you. No, true Americans look dark. They don't look like you. So I've been here for my line has been here for a long time. So that's why I claim true American. But for this to be native land is something else. The natives who land this is. But as far as America, the establishment of America, we've been here before America was established. Unlike you, we didn't have Hawaii by the time you brought your ass over to this country. So let me continue on. Why I got this new arriving immigrant in the chat talking. So here we go. It says Holy Roman Empire, says who established his banking business in the 1760s, which I'm gonna do a live on banking. I'm gonna go into the history of banking. Unlike most previous core factors, Rothschild managed to bequest his wealth. Says bequest. Hold on. What this? His wealth. Hey, turn off that crock pot for me. All right. And unplug it. Says his bequest his wealth and established an international banking family through his 5 sons. Says who's established businesses in Paris, Frankfurt, London, Vienna, and Naples. The family was elevated to noble rank, says in the Holy Roman Empire and the United Kingdom. The only subsisting branches of the family are the French and British ones. So this family has established itself like that. This ain't about the Rothschilds, so I ain't gonna stay too long on it. During the 19th century, the Rothschild family possessed the largest private fortune in the world, as well as in the modern world, says as well as in modern world history. The Rothschild family dominated international finance in Europe between the 1820s and the 1870s, when their homogeny says, what is this? Homogeny says a political, economic, and military predominance of one state over the other, says either regional or global. Says when their homogeny, says over European finance was broken by joint stock banks. Says the family's wealth declined over the 20th century and was divided among many descendants. Shit, all the claim I'm a Rothschild. You think they'll give me some of that shit? Says today their assets cover a diverse range of sectors, including financial services, real estate, mining, energy, agriculture, and winemaking. The family additionally has philanthropic endeavors and nonprofits. Many examples of the family's rural architecture exist across northwestern Europe. The Rothschild family has frequently been the subject of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. And the Sumners used to serve the Rothschilds. They used to wash the shit out the toilets of the Rothschilds and clean the septic tanks and shit. So that's why Mark Summers always in here kissing ass when you hear me talk about people who look like this. But I had no love for these scumbag pieces of shit who just had a jump start on everybody. Head start on the world of ignorant motherfuckers that existed. And now it's cleanup time. So right now we live in this present day of where we come out of the world, the age of information. We go from the age of information to the age of where information is there, but motherfuckers is dumb as shit. And then now we go to the age of having to clean shit up after that. And so that's why I speak the way I speak. It's kind of like a natural thing. It's just something like the forces of the universe just, charge you ahead with this shit. So it's just crazy. You come out the information age, and then with the information, the dummies get a hold to it, and the dummies start spewing out a bunch of stupid shit. And then we end up with Trump. And now it's time to kick Trump and all these other punk ass people the fuck out the way, clean shit up, and forge ahead and only focus in on America. Let the rest of the world focus on what's them. Iran focus on what they want to develop and make their country a better place again. So so we back into the Balfour Declaration. Following the Britain's declaration of war on the Ottoman Empire in November 1914, it began to consider the future of Palestine. It says within 2 months, a memorandum was circulated to the War Cabinet by a Zionist member, Herbert Samuel. Let's see Herbert Samuel. Let's see. Sound black, but he's white. Oh, shit. It says proposing the support of Zionist ambitions to enlist the support of Jews in the wider war. Says a committee was established in April of 1915 by British Prime Minister H.H. Asquith. Let's see, this nigga got a stupid ass name. Look at this stupid motherfucker. He was the first Earl of Oxford, Asquith. He's got that. That's a code name. Put an HH on your shit. Asquith to determine their policy towards the Ottoman Empire, including Palestine. Asquith, who had favored post-war reform of the Ottoman Empire, says resigned in December 1916. His replacement, David Lloyd George, favored partition of the empire. Says the negotiations between Britain and the Zionists took place at a conference on the 7th of February 1917. Says that included Sir Mark Sykes. So this fool in this wrinkled up ass uniform, says in the Zionist leadership. Subsequent discussions led to Balfour's request on the 19th of June. Says that Rothschild and Cem Wiseman, this motherfucker like Caputi and shit, says drafted a public declaration. Says further drafts were discussed by the British cabinet during September and October, with input from Zionists and anti-Zionist Jews. Says, but with no representation from the local population in Palestine. By late 1917, the wider war had reached a stalemate, with two of Britain's allies not fully engaged, and that being the United States had yet to suffer a casualty, and the Russians were in the midst of a revolution. Says the stalemate in southern Palestine was broken by the Battle of Beersheba. So the Battle of Beersheba was fought on the 31st of October 1917 when the British Empire's Egyptian Expeditionary Force. So they was punking Egypt and all that shit. And who knows? They probably exterminated the real Egyptians and shit. Now you got these long-nosed motherfuckers over there. It says attacked and captured the Ottoman Empire's Yildirim army group. It says garrison at Beersheba. So beginning the southern Palestine offensive of the Sinai. I ain't gonna go too further than that. So a stalemate in southern Palestine was broken by the Battle of Beersheba on the 31st of October 1917. The release of the final declaration was authorized on the 31st of October. It says the preceding cabinet discussion had referenced perceived propaganda benefits amongst the worldwide Jewish community for the Allied war effort. The opening words of the declaration represented the first public expression of support for Zionism by a major political power, being Britain. Says the term national home had no precedent in international law and was intentionally vague as to whether a Jewish state was contemplated. The intended boundaries of Palestine were not specific. And see, there's a huge violation even in all of this shit. Says the intended boundaries of Palestine were not specific, or were not specified. And the British government later confirmed that the words in Palestine meant that the Jewish national home was not intended to cover all of Palestine. The second half of the declaration was added to satisfy the opponents of the policy, who had claimed that it would otherwise prejudice the position of the local population of Palestine and encourage anti-Semitism worldwide by stamping the Jews as the strangers in their native lands. Yep, they are strangers to this current land called Israel. Says the declaration called for safeguarding the civilian and religious rights of the Palestinian Arabs, says, who compose the vast majority of the local population, and also the rights and political status of the Jewish communities in countries outside of Palestine. The British government acknowledged in 1939 that the local population wishes and interests should have been taken into account, and recognized in 2017 that the declaration should have called for the protection of the Palestinian Arabs' political rights. Then why the fuck you don't do it today, stupid asses? The declaration greatly increased popular support of Zionism within Jewish communities worldwide and became a core component of the British mandate for Palestine. The founding document of Mandatory Palestine. What is Mandatory Palestine? It says officially known as Palestine was a British administrative territory between 1920 and 48 in the region of Palestine. It says in 1922 under the terms of the League of Nations, which is currently what the United Nations and shit. Let's see. Here's a history of Palestine. We'll click on that shit. All right, so let's go back. We're still in the Balfour Act. I'm going to end it in this paragraph here. It says the founding document of Mandatory Palestine, it indirectly led to the emergence of the state of of the state of Israel, and is considered a principal cause of the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflicts. Is often described as the most intractable in the world. This is the most intractable in the world. Controversy remains over a number of areas, such as whether the declaration contradicted earlier promises the British made to the Sharif of Mecca in the Mahon Hussein correspondence. It was Sharif of Mecca. This fool look white too. Says was a Hijazi leader of the Banu Qatadan. I don't know how the fuck say none of this shit. Says he's the mayor of Mecca. So what is Mecca? Is that current Saudi Arabia or some shit? Says from 1908, says, and after proclaiming the great Arab revolt against the Ottoman Empire. Let me see if this fool. Oh, let me pull this shit up. Is this Saudi Arabia? Is Mecca Saudi Arabia or some shit? Boom, boom, Sharif, da da da. Let me read something real quick. Where the fuck is Mecca? Because they make the pilgrimage in Mecca. Ain't Mecca in Saudi Arabia or some shit? Blah, blah, blah. All right, I ain't going to go into that. Let me get back to the thing at hand. So now going in the background, this kind of breaks down to, let's go back into Zionism. So that's the Balfour Declaration, got through this paragraph. It says Zionist views have varied over time, says, and are not uniform, resulting in a variety of types of Zionism. The Zionist mainstream has historically included liberal, labor, revisionist, and cultural Zionists, while groups like Brit Shalom, says, and IHUD have been descendant factions within the movement. Religious Zionism is a variant that combines secular nationalism and religious conservatism. It says advocates of Zionism have viewed it as a national liberation movement for the repatriation of an indigenous people who were subjects to persecution, and they shared national identity through national. So they can go through a punishment by Europeans, repatriating somebody else's land, and then start to fucking annihilate these people who did nothing to them. This is some of the weakest, cowardice, piece of shit ass thing ever created in a world of wicked ass people who then push their religious creations and shit on people. Like, I don't rock with none of this kind of shit. This shit, the more y'all fucking read on this shit, just shows how, you know, why more and more people are so against this shit. So this is the national identity, national consciousness. So hold on. Repatriation of indigenous people says who were subjects to persecution and they share a national identity through national consciousness. Says to the homeland of their ancestors. Opponents of Zionism often characterize it as a sucker premise, colonist, or racist. It is all that. Says or as a settlers colonist movement. No, that shit is a sucker premise, bitch made, whole ass colonist movement. Because I don't use the word y'all see written in there. So I'm like Crip Mac when it comes to empowering bigot ass people. I don't use that kind of language, empower people, call them sucker premises. So the word Zion itself derives from Mount Zion. I don't know nothing about Mount Zion. Where is that shit? Okay, Mount Zion is a hill in Jerusalem. Says located. So, I mean, Iran, y'all should bomb that shit. Shit, get them out of here. They ain't got nothing to go to. Send one of them hypersonic missiles to this motherfucking hill. It says located just outside the wall of the old city of the south. Since the term Mount Zion has been used in the Hebrew Bible first for the city of David, and later the temple says for the Temple Mount, says, but its meaning has shifted, and it is now used as the name of ancient Jerusalem Western Hill. So these fools have come over these people land and claim shit, made up shit, all based on this motherfucker right here with no hat on his head, just grease and an Arab beard. So Zion's itself derives from Mount Zion, says, which is a hill in Jerusalem, says, and the term used in the Hebrew Bible. It has been used poetically as a sinner. Oh, let me not even try. Let me get this word pronounced. And I know this word don't mean a type of boot, do it? All right, let me go into this. Let me get a glossary to pronounce this word for me. Because as a genius motherfucker, you do things right. Let me see. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's get this word in here, because I know you retarded motherfuckers who fake like you smart and ain't, but be lying to kick it. And be like, look, Reggie can't read. He can't even pronounce that word. I guarantee none of you motherfuckers can pronounce that word on there. All right, so here it is.
Synecdoche.
A synecdoche.
Synecdoche.
Says, and that means a figure of speech, says, in which a part is made to represent the whole, or vice versa. Says, as in Cleveland won, says Cleveland won by 6 runs. I'm still lost on that. So the figure of sticks. Cleveland won by 6 runs.
Synecdoche. Synecdoche.
This is a figure of speech. I don't know why that the sentence they use is a figure of speech.
Synecdoche.
So there's a word in there, synecdoche. So it's a figure of speech, says, in which a part is made to represent the whole, or vice versa. Says, as in Cleveland won by 6 runs. So that's the way it's used. Cleveland's baseball team they're talking about. All right. All right, here we go. Let's go back over here. That was a tough ass word. All right, so let me see. It says it has been used poetically as a synecdoche to refer to the land of Israel since the period of the Babylonian exile. Says, oh, let me go into that. Says the Babylonian exile says why particular importance in Jewish Masonic beliefs. Says the term also appeared in political context in antiquity, including the coinage issue during the first Jewish revolt against Roman rule. Oh, let's go into that. says the Masonic conception of Zion was utilized by the Rabbi Z. Hirsch Kalitcher. And who is this fool? See him at a table, so he definitely a writing motherfucker who just starting shit. He like a shit starter. He just write. That's the thing they did. You write up a bunch of shit, get people to believe in this shit. No, that belief is wrong. Rock with my belief and let's start some shit. I'm gonna sit at the table. I ain't gonna fight because I can't, but I'm gonna fake and make everybody worship and I'm their leader. But I'm gonna start all this shit, but y'all gonna fight it. And when y'all lose, I'm gonna tell you you ain't shit. I'm gonna get mad at you and tell you why you ain't shit and you fell in God and all this shit. You need to go do more push-ups, run more while I sit at this table, write up more shit to start. And have you believe the dumb shit. I don't believe the shit. I'm just a piece of shit ass person with a table, no hoes, no kids, nothing to leave behind, but just start shit. Have you other motherfuckers that don't believe in yourself, believe in this motherfucker I done made up and all this other shit. All right, so let's go into. So this is who this fool is. He was an Orthodox German rabbi who expressed views from a religious perspective in favor of Jewish resettlement of the land of Israel, says, which predates Theodor Herzl, says, in the Zionist movement. So he's the first one talking this shit. Afraid of Hitler and all them. Said we need to leave and this and that. We're going to ask the United States to help make this new land. So that's who this fool nigga sitting at his table starting shit because he can write. Says who wrote Seeking Zion in 1862. Says a proto-Zionist text says, which was the first written work to demand that the Jews migrate en masse to Palestine. Let's take these niggas' land. You know what I'm saying? I got a new spot for us. A new spot for us. So I'm gonna go into the Babylon exile. I'm going to the first Jewish revolt. Got a new land for us, homies. We're gonna get up out of here. You ain't take this shit no more. So let me see. The term Zion says was first associated with a mass movement of Jews. Was first associated with a mass movement of Jews was in connection with the activities of Hovi. I don't know how to pronounce that shit. Zion says lover of Zion says also known as the Hibbit Zion says who came together in 1884. Cultoweiss Conference, inspired by Leon Pitzker's pamphlet, Auto Emancipation. So the Kotowich, I guess it is Cultoweiss Conference. So let's see, Cultoweiss Conference. Damn, where the black folks at, motherfuckers? So they ain't got one nigga in sight. Niggas can't go. So that's what it is. So here it is. The Kotoweiss Conference says was a convention of the Hov Evi Zion group from various countries held in Katowice, Germany. So all this shit is in Germany. It says in November 1884, it says it was assembled to address the need of a Jewish state and to develop a plan for the creation of a Jewish state. It says the original date for the Congress, and you see all this shit before these Jews left. Everything is in Germany. Before these people who developed this movement, they over in Europe. When you look at them, they look like Europe. That land in the Middle East was as hot as fuck. Ain't they land? These people look like they love snowdrops. They not from that land. They need the snow. And so they got too much sun over in Israel and it's fucking their brains up. This is why they developing bombs, because it's hot. Says it was assembled to address the need for a Jewish state, says, and to develop a plan for the creation of a Jewish state. Like, this some way out shit. The plan is to develop a Jewish state. And how do we develop it? We gonna build it? No, we gonna kill a bunch of niggas. Fuck it. Get the fuck out of here. I thought they believed in God. God doesn't teach you to fucking. This is how you know these people are manipulators. They don't believe in none of this shit they spew out. This is how you develop the Jewish state. We must go over there with the new atomic radiating, heat pulsing, anatomical nuclear Palestinian bombing bomb. So we can just drop this shit and it won't affect none of us. We have added artificial intelligence to this bomb of identifying the Jews, not to harm them, and eliminate all the other people of the Arab faith. So that's type of dangerous shit these people on. These fools just creating a state. It ain't got this empty land over here. Man, get the fuck out of here. Says the original date for the conference was chosen to coincide with the 100th anniversary of the birth of Moses Manafort. Who the hell is he? And so many of these old motherfuckers. Says a British financier and banker, activist, philanthropist, sheriff of London. Says more of these people just fucked up. I could imagine being black born in all this shit. Being black born in this time, man, fuck that shit. We'd have been killing each other. They would have to kill me. They'd have been killing each other. Fuck that. And here go the people who participate in this shit. Bunch of these old sorry ass motherfuckers who don't have none of the little things that you see. The Jews who are really of that fake, who got the little twist on the side. They what do you call them, little twisty sideburns, and they wear them hats. Bunch of these people ain't got the small caps on their heads. So y'all been giving the smaller hat Jews a lot of negative shit. Oh, that fool was sitting at the table. This fool in the front row, the second chair. That like that fool been sitting at his table. These fools ain't gonna fight shit. Like I say, they just write and start shit. And you'll get a bunch of young dropout idiots to fight their battles and shit. So this what these pieces of shit look like. Suits. Wearing suits, look like their hands ain't got no scars on them. These people ain't shit but a bunch of paper writing shit starting bitches like Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, and these are people that are put in place of shit. Get the fuck out of here. So let me get back to where we at with this one. So these people who attended that conference. And let me see, Leon Pensker. Why I heard of that name? Leon Pensker. I've heard that name before. What's important with this dude's name? I know I heard that piece of shit ass dude's name. So let me go into this one. So we'll pause from Zionism. Let's go over here to the Babylon. Let me see some Babylon shit. Hold off on the comments, because I'm gonna take a while to go into the comments. So Babylonian captivity. Let's go into this shit. What is it? I don't know none of this shit. Like I say, I'm not a Bible pushing, would never push this shit, but it's cool to learn history. But you ain't gonna catch me wearing old fucking BC 80 clothing like you see people who pick up these old ancient ass religion, then they gotta go buy clothes and try to look like these niggas. That's how you know people's minds is gone. They losing their goddamn marbles and shit. They start fashioning clothes and wanting to live like this and shit. When you got computers and shit everywhere, like fuck all that shit. All right, so here we go. So the Babylonian captivity or Babylonian exile. So this was a period in the Jewish history, says during which a large number of Judeans from the ancient kingdom of Judah says were exiled to Babylon or to Babylonia, says by the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Oh, gotta get into all this shit. Says the expulsion occurred in multiple ways. Says after the siege of Jerusalem, says in 597 BCE, says around 7,000 individuals were exiled to Mesopotamia. Gotta go into what all this shit is. And why the fuck was they exiled? Probably because they're doing this shit they doing today. Then they said, hell no, y'all ain't about to be starting all this shit over here. Now, let you in this motherfucker. We practice Babylon. We don't. You doing too much. Get the fuck out of here. That's what happened. So I'm gonna go into this one. I'm gonna go into what the hell is Mesopotamia, all this other shit. We're gonna learn together, so we less of us dumbasses hearing on this shit and speak on it and not knowing the history of it. And you ain't gotta add too much shit. I just want to read it from whoever's the person that conducted this research, this work, and wrote this. It says further expulsions followed the destruction of Jerusalem and Solomon's temple in 587 BC. So let me go into what the fuck is present day Babylonia. What is the kingdom of Judah? Let's see. The kingdom of Judah says was an Israeli-like kingdom. So that's why you got all these Israeli-like niggas who love to wear that old ancient ass shit they put on and shit. Just go out there in regular new age clothing and shit. Fuck y'all wearing all that 587 BCE shit on. Says was an Israeli. Sorry, the kingdom of Judah was an Israeli-like kingdom, and the southern Levant. Let me see, what is southern Levant? Okay, this is over in Israel. This is over in that region of Palestine. Says southern Levant says says geographical region that corresponds approximately to present day Israel, present day Palestine. Says in Jordan. It says some definitions also include southern Lebanon, southern Syria, and the Sinai Peninsula. It says a strictly geographic description. All right, so that's what that shit is. Says the southern Levant during the Iron Age, centered in the highlands to the west of the Dead Sea. The kingdom's capital was Jerusalem. Says it was ruled by the house of David for 4 centuries. Jews are named after Judah and primarily descendants from people who lived in the region, says which is hot. So this goes back to why I hear people say, oh, they left dark and came back white, or some shit. I be hearing people say that are into this kind of shit. So I don't know how true that shit is. But that's like anybody. I can wake up one day, ain't nothing. Then I can the next day or next Sunday go to church and get dipped in some water and be like, I'm a Christian. I'm Christian. That's how people can just claim all this new shit. Be over in Germany claiming we was the people that got kicked out of that land over there. It says the Hebrew Bible depicts Kingdom of Judah, says it's one of the 2 successor states of the United Kingdom of Israel. It says a term denoting the united monarchy under biblical kings Saul, David, and Solomon, in covering the territories of Judah and Israel. It says, however, during the 1980s, some biblical scholars began to argue that the archaeological evidence for the extensive kingdom before the late 8th century BCE is too weak, and that the methodology used to obtain the evidence is flawed. Say these people lying about what the fuck they are. In the 10th and the early 9th centuries BCE, says the territory of Judah might have been limitedly populated, comprising some fortified sites and many unfortified rural settlements. Says the Tel Dan style, whatever you say this word, says is a fragmentary style or still containing an Aramaic, says I'm saying that says Aramaic inscription, which dates to the 9th century BCE. Says it is the earliest known extra biblical archaeological reference to the house of David. The still was discovered in 1993, says in Tel Dan by Geely Cook, says a member of an archaeological team by the blah, 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 whatever it is. That's crazy that this is the way they wrote shit. And whoever wrote that shit is wicked. That's some wicked, highly valuable shit. That shit is cold-blooded. Look at the writing. That they formulated language, writing, and all that shit back then. Man, that is some cold shit. And the fact they didn't have paper, nigga had to use a stone. Man, go chop me a big-ass rock. That's all. That was an office. What is that store? You go buy your Office Depot and shit. Yeah, I need some new writing paper. We'll give you a big ass stone about like 4 feet in height and about 6 feet in width. I gotta write a cold ass. I gotta write a cold ass story. And motherfuckers gotta follow the most pathetic motherfuckers that set the rules for motherfuckers. Man, get the fuck out of here. God told me to do it. Now you don't want the almighty God striking you for not listening to me. And, I'm sorry, mighty Lord, Sir David, whatever the hell. Get the fuck out of here. So they discovered this in 1993. It says show that the kingdom existed in some forms. Says in some form by the middle of the 9th century in BCE. Says, but it does not indicate the extent of its power. Recent excavations of, how you say this, Kurtzbit, oh my God, I can't pronounce none of that shit. Blah, blah, says, known as the Eli Fortress, says in Hebrew as that word. All right, so y'all can see it on there. All right, so however, it says it supports the existence of a centrally organized and urbanized kingdom by the 10th century BC, says according to excavators. In the 7th century BC, the kingdom's population increased greatly, says, what is that? Prospiring under Neo-Assyrian says vassalage, despite says Hazakim revolt, says against the Assyrian king, how do you say this fool? Y'all see the name. I can't pronounce this motherfucker shit. He got dreadlocks and shit. So he might be black. I don't know what that shit. Neo Assyrian, I don't know what that shit is. Boom, boom, assassinated. Da da da. Roll. Fool got dreadlocks. He got the beard like a black person. All right, so and Joshua says took advantage. This nigga is so fucked up face fool. Oh man, did they draw him like that? That fool looks sick. So his kingdom might have lasted short. They leader look weak as fuck. So I guess your leaders is based on motherfuckers that can write. Niggas with a table and the stone to carve his writing in and shit. So Joshua took advantage of the political vacuum and says, look, he's slick. This fool's slick. He took advantage. This old weak ass fool took advantage. Look at his face, tell he weak. Says took advantage of the political vacuum, says that resulted from the Syrian decline and the emergence of the shit. I guess that how you say it, is that shits? Oh my god, I can't pronounce that shit. Egypt. Oh, these look like the black motherfuckers. Let me see. Why they trying to talk about the murder? These people's always here, right? Writer, whoever wrote this shit. Let me get how you say that. I don't want to say that shit. Let me see. Let me get the pronunciation on that word. Shit. Let me see. Let's see. Wait, hold on. It didn't copy that word I need. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see. Let me get the pronunciation on this word if there is one. Nope, it don't even pronounce that. It says a native or inhabitant of Sias. Yeah. Look, the glossary don't even pronounce that shit. Even the dictionary I got on here that would pronounce words can't even pronounce this shit. Says a native. Says it's a native or inhabitant of Sias. How you say relating to boom, boom, boom. All right, let's go back into this. So we touching in on some history. We're going way back before they ever had a Cadillac. So let's go. Say it. So this word is say it. So Sayites. Says, all right, so Joshua took advantage of the political vacuum so that resulted from a Syrian decline and the emergence of Shiites, Egyptians rule over the area, says to enact his religious reform. So he coming with religious reform. Like, let's get all this black shit the fuck up out of here. So let me go into this shit. It says it was the last native dynasty of Egypt. So that's what the motherfuckers in Egypt now is not. Is you can look at the people in Egypt today, the ones who have control of that government, you can tell them motherfuckers is not what ancient Egyptians look like. So that's a dead giveaway. So, like I say, and here you got in here the Persian conquest, which are Iranian. So you can tell because even the people in present day Egypt, they look Persian than the motherfucker. So yeah, salute to the people writing this history, man. So this is the 26th dynasty of Egypt. It says the last native dynasty of ancient Egypt, says before Persian conquest and 525 BC. So bam, keeping history accurate and official. Gotta love it. So the dynasty reigned from so this is the 26th dynasty. So it lasted about 70 something years. Says it's also called the Shiite period. Says after the city of Sias. Sais, I don't know how you say that shit. So this is where it's at. It says an ancient Egyptian city in the western Nile Delta. Says on the Canopic branch of the Nile. Says known by the ancient Egyptians is that's what is known as S lowercase W. Says it was a provincial capital of the Sapmine. Says the fifth nome of Lower Egypt. Says I want to take a trip to Egypt. But then again, I don't because I talk so much shit about these people. These niggas will pull up old clips of me disrespecting them and probably hang me or some shit. Says whereas pharaohs had their capital, says and marked the beginning of the late period of ancient Egypt. All right, so this dynasty traces origins to the 24th dynasty. Here goes some shit. This is where the true ass people of this shit, black motherfuckers, was probably the descendants of Beckenrath. Boom, boom. Says known by the ancient Greeks as Boscorus, something, all this stuff here, there. All right, says, however, other sources describe him as of Libyan descent. So here, Libyan, boo, boo, boo. All right, so going out of there. So following the Neo-Assyrian conquest of Egypt, says during this reign. So Assyrian, let me see, boom, boom, boom. So Egypt next to Libyan, boom, boom, which is in Africa. La, la, la. I'll go into Neo-Syrian. I don't want to go diving too deep in. I want what them people look like back then. So they probably were dark-skinned ass black people as well. So Kingdom of Kush, all that other good shit, blah, blah, blah. So bam, here comes some black history into this shit. All right, so let me go back to what we on. So we're going into the 24th dynasty. So when this little weak-faced motherfucker Joshua come in there and brings his white ass in there, says the what is that? Detromonistic history. So abbreviated is the blah blah blah. So revert to either the source documents, the book of their. Oh, this is that word them damn Hebrew Israelites be using. Yeah, wait, is that shit? Let me make sure. Is that Deuteronomy shit? The Deuteronomy mystic. Let me see. Is that Deuteronomy shit niggas be on this shit? Oh, let me see if that's it. Let me see. Deuteronomist. Oh, boom, bingo, right up on it. Says Deuteronomist says any of the writers or editors of the Deuteronomic body of source materials is often distinguished in the early book of the Old Testament. So the Deuteronomist history says, which recounts the history of the people of Israel from Joshua to Joshua, says and expresses a worldview based on the legal principles found in the book of Deuteronomy, says is assumed to have been written during this same time period and emphasizes the significance of upholding them. So with the fall, let me go down. Says with the fall of the Neo-Assyrian Empire of 605 BCE, says competition emerged between Shiite Egypt, says a Neo-Babylonian Empire, says over control of the Levant, which is, I think that area of Lebanon, no, southern Lebanon, where that shit was, Israel, he's on earlier, says ultimately resulting in Judah's rapid decline. He says in the early 6th century BC, says saw a wave of Egyptian-backed Judaites rebellion against Babylonian rule. Why are these people so goddamn white? Says Judaite, boom, boom, attempts by the kingdom of Judah, says the escape dominance by the Neo-Babylonian Empire. All right. So boom, boom. So they still in that history, rewriting it for themselves. Da da da. All right. So let me go out of this one. So this was a history on the kingdom of Judah, which was on Babylon exile. So let me see where we at. To seize Jerusalem. It says although the dates, numbers of expulsions, and the number of exiles vary in several biblical accounts, the following is a general outline of what occurs. Says after the battle of Carchemish, so this them battling with the knives, spears, little shields and shit, which helped them to conquer Africa as well. I mean, you got these people come up with this shit when the Africans ready to whoop their ass with fists, and these fools got sticks with spears on the front of them and shit. It's a hard battle when you're looking to whoop a motherfucker's ass with your hands. Let me see where we at. Says in 605 BC, says the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar, what the fuck his name? He like a Viking. His name is Nebuchadnezzar. So this is where the word nigger come from his name. He took the last 6 letters out of his name, put G's on it, and then changed that A to an E. All right, says besieged Jerusalem. Says it resulted in the tribute being paid by the Judean king Jozakim, says Jehozakim, look wicked, just wicked. Like you fools worshiping this wicked ass shit these motherfuckers on. All this shit is in motherfuckers killing and doing wicked, unhuman shit. A real God ain't gonna develop you to develop this kind of shit just meant to kill motherfuckers. Salute to my brother Brent. I see you in the building. So everything you see in this motherfucker, and this the shit teach you religion and all this other shit. It's nothing but depictions of them doing some old wicked, sinister ass shit. And this is the Holy Land, all this God stuff, and these niggas in here stabbing shit. It's like these fools is crazy. So that's the 24th dynasty, which I don't think popped up on the screen when I clicked on it. So let's go into the. I need to go into this first Jewish Roman war. Why not? Since we on this shit, let's go into it. Let's go into it. All right, let's go into this. All right. So the first Jewish Roman war. So 6673 CE. I wish I knew what the CE says. Also known as the War of Destruction. Says the Great Jewish Revolt. Says the first Jewish revolt. Says of the Jewish War. Says the first of three major Jewish rebellions. So what was the three of them? So these fools just all over the war. Everything with these fools is some damn fight and revolt. Like, man, god damn. Like, what's up with all this shit? They teach all this peace, God, love, and all this other shit. But all this shit you read of these motherfuckers is them gang banging. All this gang banging shit they doing back in the early days and shit. And these fools who, man, I can just go. I'm just gonna be disrespectful with these people fake ass beliefs and shit. Like, this supposed to be the place of God, all this shit, and all these motherfuckers who was born as human, they didn't even make clothes. They didn't walk around in skirts and half-ass shit. Oh, this means commonary. And then, but they can develop metal forks and balance the motherfuckers and throw to another nigga's chest and stick him through his heart and through his head, his eyeball, his shit. They developed this shit before they developed clothes and shit. The dudes dressed in shit that the bitches wore. That's why they so much on homo shit. They all wore dresses and shit. But then we'll develop all this shit to kill a motherfucker. And then we talking about we are the people of God, and we pray and we come in peace. And salute to my brother King Porter's right hand. I see y'all in there. And then blue and this and that shit. So this is the first of the three major Jewish rebellions against the Roman Empire. Says fall in the province of Judea. Judea is somewhere in this land over here. Says in Palestine. Says it resulted in destruction of Jerusalem and the Jewish temple. Says mass displacement. Says land apportion. Says appropriations and the dissolution of the Jewish polity. So how these fools in some war in 66, whatever this shit was, talking about this state land. You get the fuck out of it. And then the Roman motherfuckers kicked your ass out this shit. Like, knock it the fuck off. but left the Palestinian, like, get the fuck out of here. Judea says once independent under the Hasmonean. Let's go into who the Hasmoneans. So this is where the little whatever that thing, the little 7 candle thing. I don't know I forget what that shit is called. Says was the Jewish ruling dynasty of Judea. Says during the Hellenistic times of the Second Temple period. Says from 141 BC to 37 BC. Between 141 and 116 BC, says the dynasty ruled Judea's semi-autonomously. Says within the Seleucid, how you say that, Seleucid empire. Says and from roughly 110 BC. Blah, blah, blah. And I can go all the way into it. All right. So let me see. Where was we at with that? So that was boom, boom, boom. Says Hasmonean says fell to the Roman Republic. Says in the first century of BC. Says initially a client kingdom. It later became directly ruled. It later became a directly ruled province marked by the rule of oppressive governors. Socioeconomic divides, nationalist aspirations, says, and rising religious and ethnic tensions. In 66 CE, under Nero, said, let me see who is Nero. Oh, this fool is pale skin as a motherfucker. So another snow roller. So another dude rolled in snow. So is this Julius Caesar? It says Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus says was a Roman emperor. Says and the final emperor of the Julio Claudian Empire. Dynasty. Says reigning from AD 45 says until his suicide. Damn, this nigga killed himself. Oh shit. The fuck made this fool commit suicide? You the ruler bit of a kingdom. Your shit must have been bad. Because these niggas start too much shit. That's the problem. These niggas don't know what peace is, but then talk all this God and this and that shit, but are constantly in conflict. This fool, so he couldn't have shot himself. They ain't developed that shit yet. He said, Red says Theodore says the father of Zionism says that's who you. No, we passed all that shit. What's up, CJ? Says how long you gonna be on? I'll probably end this one and start another one. Y'all, what y'all want to jump on? Says I'm chilling with Archie. I'm gonna end one, then I'm gonna start a new one so y'all can jump on. I'm almost done with this one, so that way it's not mixed in. I would rather have a live stream set with us talking and shit. So give me a few more minutes. Give me a few more on this one, then I'll come back. What's up, Taylor Bill? I see all y'all rolling in this mug. So this motherfucker hung his damn self. But like I said, these fools don't know peace. The nigga mind so fucked up, nigga don't even realize he got a whole goddamn empire and decided to kill himself. They must have some secrets on that nigga. So nobody exploited that fool. Yo, fucking dirtbag ass. Says the 66 CE under Nero. Says unrest flared. Says when a local Greek sacrifice. Huh? Over a bird? It said unrest flared. Says when a local Greek sacrificed a bird. Says at the entrance of the cat as the Caesar, whatever you say this shit, Caesarea synagogue. Okay, so I guess that's disrespectful. Says tension escalated as Governor Jessius Flores looted the temple's treasure. Oh, these niggas is thieves. God damn, sound like Trump and shit. For sure. But I'm gonna set up a new one. I'm gonna text you when I set that new one. So maybe I'll be on this shit with these chumps for about 30 more minutes. I'm gonna talk about these chump ass Zionists and all these old wicked ass people in the AD, BC, and CE shit. These some foul ass wicked pieces of shit, and why Iran should fuck Trump ass up. So because Trump is into all this kind of shit. He's a piece of shit and people see through it. So let me see. So the governor, look, these niggas is thieves. They just like Trump and shit. This is where Trump and them come from. This nigga tensions escalated as a governor. Sound like Trump eluded the temple's treasures and massacred Jerusalem's residents, sparking an uprising during which rebels killed the Roman garrison, says, while pro-Roman officials fled like bitches. Says to quell the unrest, Cestus Gallius, the governor of Syria, has invaded Judea, says, but was defeated at Betheron, says, and a provisional governor led by this nigga named Anasis, says Ben Anasis. Anasis Ben Anasis. Man, what the fuck is he's a high priest? Look at this nigga named Anasis. Says was established in Jerusalem. Says the 67 CE, says Vespian. Let me see, they got a picture on this fool. Sick faced ass motherfucker. That nigga looks sick. He was sent to suppress the revolts. That nigga got a face that looks like it's been punched on and shit. So yeah, they sent him in to go, take punches and shit to his face because he known to fight. Was sent to suppress the revolts, says invading Galilee, and capturing Yadafat. He captured Yadafat, all these regions. Says 47-day siege, Roman forces of the Jewish town Yadafat. He captured that. He captured this. Oh, so this nigga was a warrior ass nigga. A fucking hill, man. Get the fuck out. I guess that's a hill is a good vantage point for shit. Says as rebels and refugees fled to Jerusalem, says the government was overthrown, leading to infighting between Eleazar Ben Simmons, John Gishchala, and Simon Bar Gore. I mean, it be sound like you niggas is worshiping regular human beings. Ain't these niggas all in the damn Bible and shit? Is worshiping human motherfuckers that sit on this motherfucker and fight and been killing each other and then talking about God, this and that, but making weapons of destruction. This is why humanity is all fucked up. This is why society's all fucked up. Especially if these type of motherfuckers come in. Now you got to develop your own shit and then be infighting. It says the war had profound consequences for the Jewish people. It says many being killed, displaced, and sold into slavery. It says the rabbinic sagas emerged are sage. Am I saying that shit? I know they ain't seeds, but sages emerge as leading figures and established the rabbinic centers of how you say Yavna. These motherfucking names are killing me. Oh, this is a damn neighborhood. It didn't look like this. This ain't what it is. So Central District of Israel, population 58,000 of these motherfuckers and came in here and built upper middle class homes in these Palestinian people's shit. It says marking a key moment in development of the rabbinic Judaism. Says as it adapted to the post-temple reality. It says these events in Jewish history signify the transition from the second temple period to the rabbinic period. It says the revolt also hastened the separation between Christianity and Judaism. The victory strengthened the the victories strengthened the new Flavian dynasty, says, which commemorated it through monumental construction, says in the coinage, impose a punitive tax on all, says they impose a punitive tax on all Jews and increase military presence in the region. Says the Jewish-Roman wars culminated in the Bar Kokhba, how do you say this word? Kokhba revolt. Says the last major attempt to restore Jewish independence, which resulted in even more catastrophic consequences. So this is the Jews, and again, their ass is handed to them. Flavian dynasty is lasting from this time period, second dynasty line, says a dynastic line of the emperors to rule. It says the Roman emperor following Julio Claudian's, encompassing the reign of Vespasian, says, and his two sons, Titus and Domitian. So this for all you people that like all that what's that bullshit y'all watching on TV, the Lord of the Rings and fucking Game of Thrones and all that shit. Y'all be liking that shit. So y'all be knowing this kind of history. I'm not into this shit. I don't give two fucks about these people. All right, so going back over to this wicked shit, these wicked motherfuckers and this Zionistic beliefs back over here. I just had to touch upon those various topics that they came up in this part. Let me see. Let me get back up. Yeah, because I don't watch none of the films that like kind of go back into kind of acknowledging and showcasing this type of history and time period. So the first use of the term says the term ism says is attributed to the Austrian writer Nathan Birnbaum. So it's our Birnbaum, how you say his name. So like I say, everybody who can write and all that shit was the big time leaders of this type of society and shit. And the rest of the followers be the stupid motherfuckers. Niggas that don't know shit but just ready to fight for niggas who tell them. Says in the 1890 article published in the periodical Selbis Emancipation, says the self-named after the Pinksters pamphlet. Birnbaum says employed the term Zionism to refer to the various activities of the lovers of Zion. In 1893, Birnbaum published a pamphlet titled The National Rebirth of the Jewish People in Their Own Land, says, which advocated for European Jews to migrate to Palestine. This is all bad. This is all bad. Says in the same year he founded Zion, says Union of Austrian Societies for the Colonization of Palestine and Syria, says to advance his proposal. Like you just about this, it's just a death sentence for these fucking people coming up. And with Britain and them supporting this shit. And Britain probably got their own shit of this old fucking Zionistic shit. They just used a different word, imperialism. It says the paramount Zionist leader, Theodore Herzl, I guess I'm saying it right, Herz, says one was unaware of Birnbaum's original uses of the term before popularizing the term Zionism himself. He knew he heard that shit. He a thief. It's common amongst these type of motherfuckers. He's a thief. You know he heard that fool Birnbaum use that shit. Says in Hurl's diary, says in diary entries between 1895 and early 1896, he used the term Zionist to describe others such as the lovers of Zion. Says Hurl's saw as followers of Jewish nationalists, says, but without a concrete plan. When Hurl's published his seminal pamphlet, Der's Judenstaat, in 1896, he used the term Zionist in the text, often in a critical light, says to describe immigration advocates, says describe immigration advocates like the lovers of Zion. Says in his manifesto, Hers called for the creation of a Jewish state. Too bad, Hers, you didn't get to see that shit because you died, you old bitch. Matter of fact, I'm gonna click on it. I'm gonna see how he died. That's really about it, because he's a piece of shit. Creation of a Jewish state. Says an idea which he claimed was an ancient one that he did not discover. Brisbane wrote a review of the pamphlet, attributing success to its author, proudly embracing Zionism, but also criticized the cultural proposals of Hers. Brisbane quickly struck up a correspondence with Hers and gave him a copy of the national rebirth of the Jewish people in their own land, says as a sort of Zionist education. So let me go into this Herzog motherfucker, or Hers, whatever the fuck his name is. I want to just see how he died. That's about it. So how did this piece of shit die? Let's see. There you go. I guarantee you, one of his people dirtbagged his ass. Says Hers did not live to see Hers did not live to see the rejection. Damn, so they had a Ugandan plan. This motherfucker was gonna go into Africa. So they had a plan, man. Our land was gonna be the motherland gonna be Africa. We need to kick all these old black ass Africans the fuck up out of here. But then they probably didn't choose Uganda because Uganda got all them wild ass animals and shit. And dogs and shit. They don't want to be killing dogs and all that shit. Because too many animals there, they have to kill off to establish the land and shit. You don't hear about animals in Palestine and shit. So, you know, these people love animals, gorillas and monkeys and fucking dog animals and shit, but they hate a human. So Hers did not live to see the rejection of the Ugandan plan. At 5 p.m. on July 3rd, 1904, in Edlatch, to the village inside, fucked up name, somewhere over there in Western Europe, where the hell is situated. He died over in his land that he should have kept his old funky ass in. Well, he did keep his funky ass in, but his plan should have kept his funky ass there too. This piece of shit died. Theodore says, having been diagnosed with a heart issue because God knew this nigga heart was in a bad place, so he fucked it up. So he was diagnosed with heart issues early in the year. It says died of cardiac, sclerosis. Woo, is that some bad shit? Let me see, is it blockage of arteries or something? It says the stiffening of the tissues are anatomical features. It says usually caused by replacement of the normal organ specific tissues with connective tissues. It says the structures may be said to have undergone sclerotic changes. It says are displayed sclerotic lesions. Oh yeah, he died fucked up. Yeah, fuck him. That's what he get. So yeah, that's what happened to this dirtbag piece of shit. God said this nigga ain't with me. I'm gonna fuck everything up about this old cold-hearted bastard. So having been diagnosed with heart issues early in the year, he died of cardiac sclerosis. Says the day before his death, says he told Reverend William Hatchler. Let me see who this William Hatchler is. Oh, wicked, nasty looking motherfucker. Restortionist, Anglican clergy. He's probably a racist. Boom, boom, boom. He all type of shit. Just a person writing books as well. Writing books, starting shit. Says, Greek Palestine for me. Says, Greek Palestine for me. Says, I gave my heart's blood for my people. Man, you ain't give shit, nigga. Shut your dumb ass up. Says his will stipulated that he should have the poorest class funeral without speeches or flowers, and added, I wish to be buried in the vault beside my father. Says, and to lie there to the Jewish people shall take my remains to Israel. Nevertheless, some 6,000 follow Hirsch to the funeral. Says sorry, not to. I'm making a word. It says, and the funeral was long and chaotic. Despite Hero's request that no speeches be made, a brief eulogy says was delivered by David Wolfshawn. Says Hans Hurl says Den 13 says who by his father's choice had not been circumcised at birth. Says why the fuck they bring that weird shit up? Says and only did so later at the behest of Zionist leaders. So they looking at each other's dicks and shit. Like, get the fuck out of here. These weird ass motherfuckers talking. Like, these niggas be really hell bent on circumcision shit. Ain't like they can fuck a bitch, yo, little dick motherfuckers. Like, them their biggest joy is getting their skin cut off their dick. Oh, little dick motherfuckers. Ain't never heard a Jewish bitch talk about how good she was fucked. None of that shit. These bitches ain't never moaned. These bitches, these type of bitches from Zionist motherfuckers ain't never squirted. The bitch pussy ain't never queefed. It ain't never done nothing. These motherfuckers ain't hitting shit. These bitches still virgins dealing with these weak ass motherfuckers. And knowing his heart fucked, that nigga was erectile dysfunctional. So this is who this chump ass motherfucking dude was right here. So he died from a fucked up heart. So that's what he get. All right, so that's that dirtbag motherfucker. All right, so let me see. Let's continue on. So Herschel's dead early on, didn't live long enough. Kick the can, just like Trump should soon. All right, so let me see where we at. Where did I leave off at? We went through all that one. That. Oh, here we go. So Herz did not begin self-identifying as a Zionist until months after the publication of Der's Judenstadt. Says Herz uses of Zionism was later popularized when convening the 1897 First Zionist Congress in the Zionist organization founded there. Oh, so we should put an end to the Zionist shit here in America. They shouldn't be running shit. Let me become president. You get rid of that shit. We ain't voting for Israel. We ain't sending Israel no money, no fucking funding, nothing. Get the fuck out of here. You get funding when you go back to Germany. Says fundamental the Zionism says is a belief that Jews constitute a nation and have a moral and historic right and need for self-determination. This is wild. Says in contrast, so they was gonna choose Africa, all type of shit. Says in contrast to Zionist notions of nationhood, the Judaic sense of being a nation was rooted in religious beliefs of unique chosenness and divine providence. They got all this, and then rather than ethnicity. But then you getting kicked out of everything. Your history is you getting kicked out of shit, and then you the chosen people and chosen. Man, get the fuck out of here. And it take a nation with a military of doing wicked shit to set this shit up for you and add more wicked shit and supplying you with being wicked. Like, get the fuck out of here with this shit. This shit is bugged out, these people. Salute to fucking Iran. Y'all win y'all fucking effort against this old wicked bitch in the White House. Only non-American motherfuckers support Trump and this little regime of his with a bitch named Hegseg with old Nazi tats on his pussy ass who can't fuck no bitches. These niggas got all this money and got no hoes. They bitches look weak. And the only thing they do is what little school pipe bomb making motherfuckers do. And that's the star shit until you kick them in their motherfucking mouth. All right, so continue. Specifically, prayers emphasize says distinctiveness, says from other nations where a connection to what is that? Eretz Israel. Says the land in the traditional Jewish name, says for an area in the southern Levant. So that's what we covered earlier, gave the description of that region, says related biblical. Says related biblical, religious, and historical English terms, says including the land of Canaan and the promised land, the Holy Land, and says in Palestine. Says the Eretz Israel, says in the anticipation of restoration were based on messianic beliefs and religious practices, not modern nationalist conceptions. A Jewish home and state in Palestine. Let's go into this shit. In Britain, y'all ain't shit. Y'all ain't shit, homie. So early Zionism, let me highlight this shit for those following who can read it and looking in the screen. Says early Zionism says was ambiguous about the form self-determination might take. Says while some texts spoke of a Jewish state, others spoke only of a Jewish homeland. says our national home for the Jewish people. The term used in the Balfour Declaration says usually under the sovereignty of the Ottoman. Says usually under the sovereignty of the Ottoman and later the British Empire. Says according to Shalomo Avineri, it was only in the 1930s that a sovereign state, rather than a home, become the fully articulated goal. Similarly, some early Zionists, including hers, considered possibility of a Jewish national home or state outside Palestine. For example, in the Americas or Africas, like he talked about Uganda, and then his heart died because he's a bitch. He died in 1905, like he should have. He should have died in 1800 still because he's a bitch. Matter of fact, how old was this dirtbag punk? Let me just see. I just want to check because I hope he died young, so he didn't live long. But it's unfortunate that this motherfucker's beliefs end up turning into this scumbag bitch, and his beliefs turning into taking over some people's land. So as a black motherfucker, I just don't rock with that shit. Any person who's of a people who have been about suffering, you should never support no shit like this. Oh, so he died young. This bitch is 44 years old. So he's what I am currently. So fuck him. Says a majority of the Zionist Congress, so in 1905, after Herzl's death, says a majority of the Zionist Congress voted against the proposal to settle in East Africa. We don't want to go in no Africa with about dirty ass, wide nose, black nappy head, spear chucking motherfucker. I don't want to get hit with a spear. No, I heard they know that voodoo shit. No, we don't want to go around there. We're better than that. Matter of fact, and that's before they discovered diamonds and shit. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they did find that shit out. It wasn't no diamonds and all that good gold shit over in that part of Africa. Says, and the supporters of this proposal, says led by Israel Zangwill, says split from the movement, says to form the Jewish Territorial Organization. So these niggas just dividing. I ain't going in no motherfucking Africa, but I'll go in the Middle East. Says over time, says the belief that Jews have a moral and historic right and need for self-determination in Palestine became the dominant Zionist view. The Zionists claimed that Palestine was based on the notion that Jews have a hereditary right to the land that outweighs the equivalent nationalist claim of the local Arabs. Wow. And Britain, France, and America supported this type of bullshit. But you come in and say, man, I have a right to 40 acres of mule and some reparations and all that other shit. Oh, hell no, fuck you. It says after suffering as a minority in Europe and the Middle East, says establishing a Jewish state with a Jewish majority became a focus of the Zionist movement. Zionist organizations encouraged immigration to Palestine. And anti-Semitism produced a strong pushed a strong push factor. Anti-Semitism, guess where? Where's the push factor at? This is why I say anti-Semitism only exists over in Europe. Anti-Semitism produced a strong push factor. The anti-Semitism in Europe that pushed these people out. And then they go into some land that ain't theirs. So the claim to the Jewish demographic majority. Let's go into this crazy shit. And then I'm almost done. This shit is wild as shit. This shit is wild and wrong as shit. Says the establishment of a Jewish demographic majority says was an essential aspect of Zionism. Israeli historian Yosef Gorny argues that this demographic change required annulling the majority status of the Arabs. Gorny argues that the Zionist movement regarded Arab motives in Palestine as lacking both moral and historical significance. According to Israeli historian Simha Flapan, says the view expressed in Golda Meir's 1969 interview comment that there was no such thing as Palestinians and a cornerstone of Zionist policy. God damn, this shit is vicious, homie. But what you expect from fucking America? Nothing. I'm not talking to you. You good? Sorry about that, folks. My kid think I'm talking to him. Says after the Holocaust, even those on the far left of the Zionist movement, including Martin Buber, says and other members of Brit Shalom, says did not see the Arabs as having an equally weighty claim to nationhood in Palestine and sought demographic parity. Says Judah Magnes, even after the Holocaust, continued to support a binational state. Says even one imposed by the great powers. Says but was unable to find any Arab interlocutors. British officials supporting the Zionist efforts also held similarly. Man, this shit is crazy, homie. This shit is crazy. Says unlike other forms of nationalism, the Zionist claim to Palestine was aspirational and required a mechanism by which the claim could be realized. And then it's crazy because they couldn't do it themselves. It took for a European power to push these people wicked ass agendas from stupid ass books from dead motherfuckers. And after other Europeans start slaughtering these motherfuckers, that they set up a plan to go slaughter. Like these people have no heart on me. That's why Iran deserves a fucking bomb. Iran deserves to control that strait. Iran deserves to defend and stand. And the rest of these nations that have gained power and become allies against the fucking America. America and Britain are wicked as fuck. Israel is wicked as fuck. Netanyahu and his beliefs and his motherfucking actions towards Palestinians is wicked as fuck. The other people, when Arafat was alive, are wicked as fuck. Man, let's continue. Says, let me see, where did I leave off at? Says, unlike other forms of nationalism, says the Zionist claim to Palestine was aspirational. I read through all this, aspirational and required a mechanism by which the claim could be realized. The territorial concentration of Jews in Palestine and the subsequent goal of establishing a Jewish majority there was the main mechanism by which Zionist groups sought to realize this claim. It says by the time of the 1936 Arab Revolt, the political differences between the various Zionist groups had shrunk further, with almost all Zionist groups seeking a Jewish state in Palestine. Says while not every Zionist group openly called for the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine, every group of the Zionist mainstream was wedded in the ideal of establishing a Jewish demographic majority there. So imagine they would have went into Africa and watching these motherfuckers. It's probably some of that shit going on now. We just don't hear about that shit. The same thing with the Europeans and South Africa and all that shit establishing like that. This shit is cold-blooded. Says in pursuing the Jewish demographic majority, says the Zionist movement encountered the demographic problem posed by the presence of the local Arab population. They use, and then the terms of local Arab population, nigga, that's their fucking land, motherfuckers. Says which was predominantly non-Jewish. Says the practical issue of establishing a Jewish state in a majority non-Jewish region was an issue of fundamental importance for the Zionist movement. Many Zionist activists intended to establish a Jewish majority through Jewish immigration to the region, backed by military actions as well. Zionists use the term transfer as a euphemism for the removal or what would now be called the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian population. So you allow immigrants to just get the fuck out of here. The Palestinians should have built a wall to keep these niggas the fuck up out of here. Like, come on, this shit is crazy. According to Benny Moore, says the ideal of transfer played a large role in Zionist ideology. Since ideology from the inception of the movement, it was seen as the main method of maintaining the Jewishness of the Zionist state. Says he argues that transfer was inevitable and built into Zionism, and that a land that was primary Arab could not be transformed into a Jewish state without displacing the Arab population. That's just like how Trump cry and talk about all the immigrants coming in. They'd start kicking all type of motherfuckers up out of here and get the unless you do it by force, like America did with the natives. God damn, these motherfuckers. And this is the modern day version of America, homie. Some old real Christopher Columbus ass shit. Says further, the stability of the Jewish state says cannot be ensured given the Arab population's fear of displacement. Says he argued that this would be the primary source of conflict between the Zionist movement and the Arab nation. And outside the Zionist movement is Britain and America and the rest of these motherfuckers, how we send these niggas weapons to add into the furtherance of this bullshit. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Pull all funding from these pieces of shit. These motherfuckers don't deserve a penny of this shit because this shit is wrong. And anybody who supports this shit and then talking about they're Christian, I ask, who the fuck is your God? I always say that shit. I don't know what God these niggas fucking pray to and if they believe in one. Because it ain't a God, a God that they, con people with. Says the concept of transfer says had a long pedigree since Zionist thoughts. As it was considered both moral and practical, says as a way to deal with the Palestinian. Wow, now it's the Palestinian problem. Damn, this shit is wild, man. Says create a Jewish homeland, says, and avoid ethnic conflicts. Says the concept of removing the non-Jewish population from Palestine garnered support across the entire spectrum of Zionist groups, eventually including its furthest left faction, who, after realizing the extent of the destruction of Europe, says of Europe Jewry, viewed it as a lesser evil, being that they wouldn't stand up to Hitler and the Germans and all that other shit. They said, all right, fuck it, it's better to just kill these motherfuckers off, rather than we stand up getting revenge against the people who was killing us. Let's not get revenge because we scared the motherfuckers that threw us in ovens and killed our families and killed our mothers, brothers, and sisters in front of us. We're going to run like bitch-made people, and we're going to start shit with American guns and bombs and bullets. Like, come on, man. This shit is not cool. And I see why Iran says the shit they say about what they want to do to these motherfuckers, because they got every right to. Just like these people think they got a right to transfer population, they got a right to slaughter you motherfuckers. Transfer thought began, the transfer thought began early in the movement's development in various forms. Transfer was seen not only as desirable, but also as an ideal solution by some of the Zionist leadership, but it remained controversial. During the 1948 Palestinian War and the 1948 Palestinian expulsion and flight, a transfer committee was established by the Israeli. This shit is cold-blooded as fuck. Says they try to use Hitler in exile from Rome, says all the Bible as excuses. Says it's like they play victim and criminal at the same time. It's crazy as fuck. It's crazy as fuck. But I think that's all that I'm gonna read on this one. Proceed deficiencies and assimilations, negation and diasporic life. It says of diasporic life. Yeah, these fools is way the fuck out. Zionism is secular Jewish idea. Let me go into that. Zionism start to reconfigure. Let's go into this one because I think this is where people mix Jews into this shit with these people and shit. Revival of the Hebrew language. So they weren't speaking that Hebrew shit. So let's go back up. Zionism sought to reconfigure Jewish identity and culture in nationalist and secular terms. According to a Jewish name motherfucker who I can't pronounce this bullshit, Yagard, Zionism rejected traditional Judaic definitions of what it means to be Jewish. Says, but struggle to offer. Yeah, these fools ain't the true Jews then. These people over there doing this shit ain't true Jews. Says, but struggle to offer a new interpretation of Jewish identity independent of rabbinical tradition. So these people are fake Jews. These fools is just wicked ass people who don't believe in none of this shit. and then con Britain and America into this bullshit with this religious shit, which is wicked, even if they were religious people, they wicked. Says Yagdar argues that Jewish religion is viewed as an essentially negative factor in says in Zionism. I call it Nazism by accident, but it wasn't so much of a mistake to say that. Says negative factor in Zionism, says even in religious Zionist ideology, says and as responsible, did I read it right? Says and as responsible for the diminishing status of Jews living as a minority. Says responding to the challenges of modernity, says the modernity, says Zionism sought to replace religious and community institutions with secular nationalistic ones. Indeed, Zionism maintained primarily the outward symbols of Jewish traditions, redefining them as a nationalistic context. Says Zionism saw itself as bringing Jews into the modern world by redefining what it means to be Jewish in terms of identification with a sovereign state rather than a Judaic faith and tradition. So let me see, that brings you back to the clip here. Let me go back and play this clip real quick one time.
If I were to ask you, are you a Zionist, what would you say?
Absolutely not. You can't be both. You can either be a Jew or a Zionist.
What are you? Were you consider yourself a Jew or a Zionist?
Jew.
So you're not a Zionist?
No.
You're not a Zionist at all?
No.
So according to you as a practicing Orthodox Jew, what is Zionism? What is it for the world to see?
Zionism is for people who wanted to change the Judaism and they transformed it into something different that's totally isn't. They transformed it into a nationality, like there's a German nationality, like there's a French nationality.
Gotcha. They turned it into nationality.
Yeah, and most of them were not even religious or observing Jews.
Gotcha.
So it has nothing to do with the.
So as a practicing Jew yourself too, occupying that land is something that's completely wrong.
Especially if they are infringing on different people who were living there until they came, they have no right to infringe on these people's rights.
You are
because of your
You are
state
traitor.
of Israel.
You
Be
are
embarrassed
Go
of
to
yourself.
Gaza,
You
go!
are endangering
They want you in
everyone
Gaza.
the
Why you
region.
don't go to
You
Gaza?
are endangering
Why
the
you
Jewish
don't go to
people here.
Gaza? Why you don't go? Why you don't go to Gaza?
You are endangering everyone.
We are the best people in the world. You are not people. You are Amalek.
War criminal.
You are Amalek.
The world is
You are
outraged
Amalek.
against what you're doing.
Why you don't
Be
go to Gaza?
embarrassed.
Why you don't go to Gaza?
I did visit Gaza.
Go to Gaza. Go
I
to Gaza.
I did.
And
I did.
go.
I did.
Go. We don't want you.
You can join
You're
me.
not part of our people. You're not part of our
You
people.
are not.
You are not part
where
of our
is your
people.
yarmulke?
Where
You're
yarmulke?
not
You are not
representing
part of the
the
Jewish people.
You are not representing.
Go to
you are
Gaza.
not
Go
Jewish.
to Gaza.
You are not Jewish. Judaism is not about a race. Judaism
Go
is a religion.
to Gaza. Go to Gaza.
Judaism, don't you support the killing of everyone?
We
There's a
support
an-
living.
an
We
end-
support life.
an
You are
endless
not. You
cycle
are
of
Amalek.
bloodshed,
You are
where
Amalek.
Everyone is suffering.
Amalek you are.
Everyone is
Amalek
suffering.
you are.
Palestinians, Lebanese, Jews. Everybody is suffering because of your wicked state of Israel.
Woo! Hey, he pulled that hat off on his ass on some G shit. Said, fool, you ain't even wearing your tiny hat. Then he pulled that damn big cap off his head. Oh, dude, the real Jewish dude's ready to get in this motherfucking gray suit wearing ass. So let me go back to this shit with these chump ass people. Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. Did I read all this one? So let's see. Cyber. Okay, yeah, I think I read all Zionism saw itself as bringing Jewish to the modern world. Okay, I read that. I'm on this paragraph here. Says this new identity will be based on a rejection of life in exile. So Zionism portrayed the diaspora Jew as mentally unstable, physically frail, and prone to engage in transient businesses. Says they were seen as detached from nature, purely materialistic, and focused solely on their personal gains, like the ones in Hollywood, them fake ass Jewish people. Says in contrast, says the vision of the new Jew was radically different. Says an individual of strong moral and aesthetic values, not shackled by religion. That's how the Hollywood ones are, fake ass Jewish people. So they buying that Zionist shit. All the new Hollywood people. That's why I be like, people mix up Jews and all this shit, the practicing Jews. Because I say I don't know much about the Jewish people, but these new people like Ashton Kutcher, this Jared Kushner motherfucking, all these people can just claim the Jewish shit and then have all these. That's these motherfuckers. This is what you see with the Hollywood motherfuckers. It said they just Zionist motherfuckers claiming this shit so you don't be anti-Semitic with them or shit. Says not shackled by religion. Says driven by ideals and willing to challenge degrading circumstances. A liberated, dignified person eager to define both personal and national pride. Says this was the new Jew. Says this is a new Jew, posited by Nordau muscular Judaism, and later the pioneering Sabra celebrated in Israeli nationalism. Says not the feminine, over intellectual, degenerate. Woo, they saying this shit about each other. Luther mentions says people's heir of the diaspora. So they got these motherfuckers beef with Jews. Says Nordia characterized them. So these Zionist people beef with the actual Jews. This is what I say. That's why I've always been saying I don't got negative shit to say about Jews. I don't know nothing about them. But now I read the Zionist. I don't like these motherfuckers. According to Yagar, how you say this weird ass name, motherfucker, says the Zionist goal of reframing the Jewish identity in secular nationalist terms meant primarily the decline of the status of religion in the Jewish community. Prominent Zionist thinkers frame the development of secular identity as nationalism fundamentally or functionally serving the same role as religion. Zionism sought to make Jewish ethnic nationalism the distinctive trait of Jews rather than their commitment to Judaism. Says according to Yadgar, Zionism instead adopted a racial understanding. Wow, a racial understanding of Jewish identity. We're the chosen people, and God blessed us, and this and that, and then we'll bomb you with an American bomb. You say something. According to Yagdar, says framed this way, Jewish identity is only secondarily a matter of tradition or culture. What is that? Masalah, these fools' names kill me. Says Zionist thinkers view the movement as a revolt against the tradition of many centuries of living parasitically at the margins of Western society. Indeed, he says Zionism was uncomfortable with the term Jewish, associated with passivity, spirituality, and disdain of Galut. It says instead, Zionist thinkers prefer the term Hebrew to describe their identity. Zionism linked the term Jewish with negative characteristics prevailed in European anti-Semitic stereotypes, which Zionists believe could be remedied only through sovereignty. So these people ain't even that shit. So the revival of the Hebrew language, I don't need to go through that shit. There's a lot on this shit. Let me see. Let me look through these categories. Anti-Zionism, I don't need to go on that. Zionism, colonialism, about the same thing. Zionism has been characterized as a form of colonialism. It is, or settler colonialism by various scholars. Joseph Massad has argued that Zionism is intrinsically linked to European colonial thoughts from its facts. It's all this shit the fuck is. They know different than these white motherfuckers who instituted slavery. The same ideologies learned through that shit, not this Jewish shit. Says by various scholars, blah, blah. Joseph Massad has argued that Zionism is intrinsically linked to European colonial thoughts from its inception, shaped by anti-Semitism and European imperial interests. I was just saying that shit earlier. Edward Said similarly described the movement as following the European colonial model, particularly in its patronizing views of the native Palestinian population, which he regarded as backwards. Another European name I can't pronounce describes Zionism as a movement of conquest, says, but disagree that Jews arriving in Palestine had a colonial mindset, which is bullshit, says Anita Sapira, and Shalomo Ben Ami says also emphasize the importance of the ethos of the movement, framing Zionism as a national liberation movement that was destined or forced to use colonial methods. Conversely, Noor Masawa kind of argues that Zionism cannot be understood as a national liberation movement because it relied on British colonial support. Just saying that shit. They relied on these niggas, the British and the French and Americas. Cannot be understood as a national liberation movement because it relied on British colonial support, asserting that the state of Israel owes its very existence to the British colonial powers of Palestine. So, and exactly, and that's the same thing. America's at fault for everything hated about Zionists. Same thing got to be true about, you got to have the same views towards America, Britain, and France. Mainly the leaders. I rock with the people of this country, not these suit wearing pussies in this motherfucker who are part of this movement. These type motherfuckers, y'all didn't pay attention and voted all these motherfuckers in to run our Congress, to run these fucking White Houses and all that other shit. Says various proponents of Zionism have characterized Zionism as a colonial or settler colonial. Joseph Massad wrote that for political and ideological reasons, starting in the 1930s, some Zionist thinkers proposed that the Zionist movement should avoid using terms like colonialism. Rashid Khalid described this move as an attempted rebranding of Zionism as an anti-colonial movement. Says Benny Morris dismisses the charge that Zionism is a classic 19th century European colonial venture due to the fact that it exists as a movement not to exploit the populace or resources, but to provide a safe haven for a native population experience oppression internationally. Shit. But that's all I got on this one. Let me go into the chat. This is pretty good reading. There's a lot more to go into this shit. A whole lot more in that piece put up there. Also, let me check on some news real quick before I go into the chat. Let me check where the market is at. So you got the dumbass president trying to put a blockade on already blocked strait, which he's a fucking true to life idiot. Boom, boom, boom. Let me see. Let me go over here. And then also, let me check some of the scores to today's NBA games, which I think the regular season over with, right? You just got sorry ass teams like the Clippers playing for playoff survival, which I don't know what's the purpose of them playing. They should just give up. Let me see. Yeah, the futures market. Let's see where the oil shit is at. And then let me end this one and I'll come right back live, get the fan bam on here. All right, let me see. All right, let me go in the chat real quick. Let me speed through this shit real quick. And you got the fan bam out there. CJ, Archie, Pierre. I think Joey back there. Let me see. Where we at? Let me see. Read that one. That one. I think we was on Hyphy. He says, this is the topic they told you not to speak on. Says, if you want to keep your channel, laugh out loud. Says, Reggie's socking up YouTube as well. Man, I don't listen to people when they say, don't, you shouldn't speak on this. I don't rock with that shit. That shit is something that is just like out of my fucking way of operating in life. I believe that's bullshit. So I wouldn't give a fuck. YouTube did give me a strike one. I mean, shit, I lost 30 fucking channels on YouTube. While all these other niggas cry about, what they niggas cry about on here? YouTube holding me back, YouTube shadow banning me, views is low and all that other shit. Man, I can get two fucks about that shit. I'm a nigga who done lost. None of these niggas who out here do all this crying about YouTube have ever lost a channel. I've lost, 5, 6 channels and shit. Then hell, then lost a channel with 250,000 subscribers on that motherfucker that they wouldn't even monetize. So I don't be worried about shit. I like to talk and learn. I love learning shit. Mark Summers says, laugh out loud, says, you rock with the NOI. You know, laughing at that shit. Picasso says, who that? Says, religion, in my opinion, is similar to meditation or yoga. Says, choose one. Says, it's the art of knowing self. Says, whatever you think. Says, 1 billion of your cells Wolf follows. Says who made the planet? Says who you paying? Says who you praying to? And then Mark Summers says you struggling with reading OG? Never that. And then Picasso says, in my opinion, says our connection with us is with each other. Says, in my opinion, our connections is with each other. Says, live and let live, motherfuckers. Absolutely. Mark Summers says, true American says doesn't look like, no, true Americans don't look like you. True Americans don't look blonde hair, blue eye. As simple as that. And then Mark Summers says, but you know, native Europeans look like you, Mark Summers. So take your ass back to what was in what I said, what native of Europe looks like. And he says you've been an African booty scratcher, says for a lot longer. And you've been a European sister fucker. That's what you're in. You in Europe fucking your sister, touching on your mother's breast and shit. You 30 years old. That bitch ain't never breastfed you in life, but you walking in her room sucking on her titties. Fucking nasty ass Europe motherfucker. And then Picasso says religion is more of a way, says to grieve, says religion is more of a way to grieve, says than to connect with others, says understand me. And then Thrill Hills in the building, salute. Lysing Cleveland says you can't blame all of our Caucasian brothers. An African American named Ralph Bunt says pivotal in Israel gaining independence. Man, don't ever believe in that bullshit. They love to throw a black nigga name out there to act like he's something involved in that. Velocica says a little Austrian painter says MJ, Prince, and Kanye warned us about these motherfuckers, and we called them crazy. No, them niggas is crazy. Them niggas start getting on drugs, and that's why 2 of them are no longer here. So shit, them niggas are saying crazy shit. And then Mark Summers says no one looks like ancients, anymore. And then Mark Summers says we're modern people. I don't think humans have evolved that much, stupid ass. I think we have evolved as far as how we transport. We evolved that way. We evolve in how we can communicate, the connections to the world. But as far as how humans look, ain't evolved that much, dummy. The clothes we wear, those are the only thing that distinguished us. Evolution and differences in look takes about 1 million fucking years, hundreds of thousand years to millions of years. You haven't evolved that much. So I don't know what you're talking about. Motherfuckers' coordination didn't improve. People have learned to run faster, jump higher. They're stronger. We have learned to mass produce. That's the only thing that's changed, dummy. Damn, you a stupid ass white dude. Says you got ancient thinking. Never that. And then Brandon Washington in the building says salute. He's talking about the C in them dates, meaning common era. Kenny Porter's right hand in the building. And then Brandon says, Red says Theodore is the father of Zionism, says that's who you want to talk about. No, I want to talk about all that shit, not just no one nigga. I just only care about how Theodore died, and he died fucked up, and I'm happy. That made me so happy with reading this shit is the way that bitch made motherfucker died. And then CJ says, how long are you gonna be on? Says, and then Brandon says you went too far back. And then said, no, I went right along with how I needed to go because I want to go into history. Not to study a punk ass dude like Herzog. I just cared about how he died. CJ says I'm chilling with Archie and P, and I will be right back on here in a short little time. I'll be back in give me 45 minutes real quick. And then Taylor Bell says Reggie is back. No, I've been on. I ain't went nowhere. Says let's go. Tommy, oh, you mean for today? Because I was on earlier. Timmy Diamond's in the building, says look up Ralph Bunch. And then CJ saying for sure, no rush. And then Sean Edit says he says the driest affair says accelerated the Zionist movement, says rather than creating it, says it convinced Theodore Hers. I don't know if I'm saying that full name, Hers or Herzog, says convince Theodore, says that even enlightening European nations could not protect Jews from anti-Semitism. And Megazar says Idi Amin says ran their ass out of Uganda. Oh, that's what happened with the Uganda thing. Salute the Idi Amin for kicking these pieces of shit for putting the end to the motherfuckers even thinking about going there. And then Mark Summers says boring conversations with Wiki Owens. No, Mark Summers, you always in here because you learned some shit your mother and daddy couldn't teach you. The most you learned from mommy was anatomy. So you learned something from a flat butt bitch with little sized titties. and used to recommend, mommy, how about you go get this new thing they got? You go get silicone titties. So then I can suck on it, mommy. That's what you do. You're a weird ass nigga. Mama like 45 and shit. Yeah. And mommy, where do I stick this little thing at? I watching one of daddy little tapes in the guys are sticking it in the middle of her legs. Is that I came from there? So can I try to get back in there? That's your fucking dumb ass be at the house talking to your mama. Fucking weird motherfucking. And then Shawnetta says what you have going on in America says it's called Christian Zionism. Says they really believe that they have says they have to help Israel, says to be in good favor of God. And that you right on point with that shit. You right on point. That old Christianity talk is some Zionistic shit from these little clown motherfuckers. Shawnetta says historical and religious restrictions primarily drove this shit. Says under canon law, says the Catholic Church strictly prohibited Christians from practicing says usury, or lending money at interest. Says viewing it as a sin. Says so they made the Jew do it. And the Picasso in there says laughing, says only in America, man, when you get wicked shit. And these people find a way to justify wicked shit here in America when it's done by people in the complexion of a human palm. That's it. Picasso says this is not what your country can do for you. Says this is what you can do for your country. Some John F. Kennedy shit. And the Shawnetta says Jews live under Ottoman rule, or Arab says for 4 centuries. From 1516 until 1917. And then Asian Math in the building, salute, says boycott tried to told y'all a long time ago. And then the Shawnetta says in 1894, Alfred Dreyfus says a Jewish captain in the French army says was falsely accused of passing military secrets to Germany. Says that incident accelerated Zionism. I don't know about that. I don't know how true that shit is. I don't know if that's true at all. Something in 1894 accelerating that. I don't know about that. Shawnetta says, so they try to use Hitler. They try to use Hitler in exile from Rome, says, or the Bible as excuses. It's like they playing victim, says, and criminal at the same time, says it's crazy. Yeah, all this shit with these people is crazy. All that shit that comes, anything that comes up out of Europe. So that's the first issue of even with this shit is that it comes out of Europe. Nothing good ever comes up out of Europe that goes into another land, like nothing. Shawnetta says Jewish communities says have been expelled, says from over 100 locations. Says these range from major empires, says to specific cities and regions. I wonder why. And they're gonna fuck around and get exiled from fucking Palestine. And Picasso says they already have a limit on immigration, says, but after Nat Turner, what the hell is this comment going, Picasso? They already have a limit on immigration, says, but after Nat Turner, they and their birth rate, the fuck is Picasso writing? What the fuck is this shit? They already have a limit on immigration, says, but after Nat Turner, you act like Nat Turner did this shit yesterday. But after Nat Turner, they in their birth rate, they figured immigration would outsource black seeking reparations. Nigga, what? It's backfiring, so close borders. Too late. What the fuck is you talking about, Picasso? And then Shawnetta says, you're right, says they are not real Jews. Yeah, that shit is wicked, man. I'm glad I read over this shit. We did another live stream over, but we didn't cover it because y'all was too busy debating the last time. Shawnetta says, Kaiser says hypothesis, which suggests that modern Ashkenazis. Says Ashkenazi Jews. That shit tripped me out that the word Nazi is in this form of Jewism. Says the modern Ashkenazi Jews says are primarily descendants of Kaisers. Says a Turkic people who converted to Judaism, says in the 8th century, says rather than from ancient Israelites. And then he says, he got a thumbs up, says all based on dumbass hypothesis, which is not proven. And then they won't claim they come from ancient Israelites. Picasso says in America, don't believe anything. It's all bullshit. And then Matthew Warren in the building says, how's it going, everybody? He says, I'm late here. Salute, salute. And then Matt in laughing at Mark Summers. And then Matthew says, Israel is losing favor in the United States. Current facts. You're hearing a lot of these white folks turning on Israel. And that should become scary for the motherfuckers. Because the people here are tired of American politicians selling us for these motherfuckers. Says Israel losing favor in the United States. Says most modern American Zionists are the baby boomers who are dying off. Fuck them. And he says, yeah, that Zionist shit goes back to the late 1900s. Says late 1800s. But folks, that's all I got on this one. I'll be back in a few. Give me like 30, 45 minutes. We'll be back live, just doing a live topic. Get the fan bam on here. Get the chat up in here, and we'll just talk some shit. But that's all I got, folks. Catch you on the next one. Peace, peace. That was cool.